You know what? The podcast is brought to you by Mountain Khakis.
Nice.
It's a great company.
So good. What do you love about them?
I love that it fits.
Yeah.
And it's stretchy.
Yeah, stretchy to me is number one because I'm 6'7", and it's hard to find pants that fit.
With an expanding and contracting waistline like I have, I need that flexibility. I don't want to have to change my wardrobe. And the material he uses, I don't know what it is. It's alien for some reason.
Yeah, it's tough, top notch. And when you're climbing roofs like Mike does all the time, you need them a little bit flexible on the way up, and you need them tough sliding on the way down.
Yeah. And they got the pocket in the right spot for yourself.
Absolutely. You got extra pockets.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, all the accolades that come in, good clothes, great service, good people.
Mountain Khakis.
Mountain Khakis.
Let her rip.
Hey, guys, welcome back. Black Dog Salvage Podcast. It's Mike Whiteside.
I'm Robert Kulp.
And I'm Tay Whiteside. Every week on the Black Dog Salvage Podcast, we talk to the most interesting people we can find from the salvage, maker, and creator worlds. Of course, there's always a tip of the week on salvage that helps you turn trash into treasures. And finally, we'll give you some behind the scenes of a single episode from our hit series, Salvage Dawgs.
Did you say this was the Black Dog Salvage Podcast?
Was there any other?
Are you in the wrong studio?
Yeah.
Well, today's episode, we got a great guest. I mean, the most interesting of the most interesting guests. It's our distinct pleasure to have Emmy-Award-winning and Salvage Dawgs series originator,
Correct,
Bill Hayes.
Yeah.
Bill is going to tell us how it all got started, along with his very own DIY tip of the week.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Bill's tip of the week is. But because I know Bill very well. So
Could be anything.
It could be really out there. But anyway.
Finally, we're going to have a fan favorite. We're going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at one of our favorite episodes. This week, it's Return to the Capitol Center.
Oh, yeah. Our home away from home in Largo, Maryland.
The re-return.
Yep.
It's gone now.
Well, that's what they told us was going to happen.
And they did it.
Yeah.
They look like they meant it.
Well, listen, we'll be right back with the most important guest, Bill Hayes.
The most important.
Just
The
ask
most-
him. Yeah.
Be right back.
About Miller Welders?
Yep.
Miller Welders, can't say enough about them, especially the support they've given us over the years, especially, with the television show, but actually in the working shop, it's just all been great. I don't use the welders myself, but I hear lots of positive things about them. And the best thing is the bottom line is they've made it very affordable for us to do work in the field and in the shop.
I don't know what else to say there.
I'm going to go weld something.
Yeah. Let's make some sparks.
Miller Welders.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Black Dog Salvage Podcast. Today, we are talking to the all-powerful Mr. Bill Hayes, producer, director, and originator, most importantly, of our hit series, Salvage Dawgs. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tay. Actually, Tay, let's get the credits right. What I really am is an executive producer of like over 1,300 TV shows.
Well, right.
So I have been a director. I have been a producer. I have been a editor, a shooter, a bottle washer, a grip, pretty much a little bit of everything. But I am the paterfamilias of Salvage Dawgs.
Well, you're going to have to explain that title.
Yeah, would you please give us a good definition?
Is that Latin or Italian or Spanish?
Well, I love quoting movies, so that's a George Clooney right there out of Oh Brother.
Yeah.
Was it Oh Brother?
Oh Brother, we're all
He
down.
tried to explain to the Warby girls that he was their dad.
I'm the paterfamilias.
Yeah. I helped create it just because, I have a company, part of a company, I should say more accurately, Figure Eight Films, and part of another company called Thunder Mountain Media. And gosh, 10 plus years ago, Mike, at least.
Well, yeah, we're pushing 10 years, that's for sure. When we did the pilot, I think that was putting it right at 10 years. That was with Ted. I remember the meeting. You were telling us, don't get your expectations high. And of course, we did, and Ted did especially.
Well, so let's frame it for the people, right? You and Bill, Dad, have been friends for quite a while.
Yeah, we.
Well, I was just thinking, right, Tay, it's like 5 more years add on to that. At least we were part of a fishing group, a bunch of buddies, engineered by the great Dr. Ned Hooper. Well, it was incredible, right? We would float 2 rivers in 2 days. We would fish for bass one day. We'd fish for trout. We'd throw them all back, and we'd sit around the fire all night playing music and telling dad stories
and drink. Let's don't forget drinking. It was a bit of a drink fest too.
There were adult beverages consumed in excess.
Well, that's what Ted always said. You can't say you've been drinking all day if you don't start in the morning.
It was handsome Ted and Mike who were always cooking up our food and taking care of the boys. And Mike and I would usually end up in the canoe together and end up turning it over with our coolers. So, we have some experiences. And he kept saying, everybody kept saying, Billy, you got to do a TV show about Mike's salvage booth. And I'm like, yeah. Because I get pitched like 10 times a day, every day. In those days I did. So, people were always pitching you ideas. And, it's a tough business. Like I said, don't get your hopes up. It's right. I mean, 1 in 1,000 ideas get produced.
It's a lotto ticket, man.
It's not for the meek of the weak. So we go, okay, I finally acquiesced and I dragged a couple of guys. We shoot something and it's not working out too good. I don't see the drama.
What'd you guys shoot?
Now, we were in South Boston. This was a very, very nice house.
That was a great house.
Probably one of the best front doors we've ever had that now lives up in the cabin. But we were doing our thing, all of us minus Robert. And
minus the magic.
He was well, we didn't know he was the magic until he showed up.
Keep talking, Bill. I like the line you're taking.
Well, you've heard of Magic Mike. We won't even go there. But Robert shows up, and the chemistry between Robert and Mike was truly lovely to watch. It's like an old married couple. It's like it's a buddy film. It's Thelma and Louise. It's Sundance and Bush.
Well, we're heading for the cliff right now, Bill.
Now we're getting something. I go, wow, we really have it now because it's Robert is very cost conscious and pragmatic, and Mike is sort of just throws care to the wind.
The polar opposite of that, yeah.
Right. But and the copious amounts of bad light beer that they could drink alone should have been a series. I'll never forget. We go to this really not so expensive hotel, whatever you call it.
What was the name of that place?
Oh, it was crappy. Crappyhotel.com.
The boys ended up in some. By the end of it all, though, I put them in a tweet at the Marriott in D.C. Well, fateful night, but we won't talk about that.
No, that's another podcast, Bill. Please keep that one under your hat.
So they did move up the ladder in terms of digs for stand. But so we shoot something. And we shop it around as usual, and Discovery doesn't bite, And we bring trailblazers in because my figure eight company is more about making shows for the female demographic.
Really dysfunctional shows besides us, yeah.
They were not.
We'll get to some of those a little bit later.
We don't need to go through that.
Oh, we're going there, Bill.
Here's all it's like Forrest Gump. Here's all I'm going to say about that. Is we took some people whose lives were very crazy and messed up, and we, respected and honored their privacy and told their stories in the way that the network and the families asked us to, and we're very proud of all that. So it's amazing that we told so many stories about those people in the first place, and we got great, we entertained a lot of people with, good, wholesome content,
Well,
who knows what happens to people behind their doors when you're not there.
Bill, believe it or not, Salvage Dawgs is primarily a women's show too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Our demographics
you guys are handsome guys. You're a handsome lot,
thank you.
And Grace, and you had some really wonderful women in the show. Your daughter and Grace and both. All the staff that you have there. You have just to throw a quick credit to everybody else for half a second here, because Salvage Dawgs was a great series, and you guys are certainly our stars, and Tay picked right up as well. But, all the people that you're surrounded with are such genuinely nice human beings. I know it for a fact. And that really counts for a lot. That's why people come see you all the time. You really have a lovely bunch of people that roam that gigantic cavernous place you call Salvage Dawgs every day.
Well, we call it Black Dog Salvage, but it's a derivative.
We're recording all that for our next, that testimonial. We appreciate it, Bill, for sure.
Bill, you made a point earlier about the crew at Black Dog. I wanted to piggyback on that and say that, some or most people may not know that Black Dog was in business for like 12 years as an architectural salvage company. Before the show even happened.
Yeah.
So to your point, you're talking about, what you guys must have discussed on your, fishing trips, drinking trips.
It's private. It's private.
Was the company that you and Dad started and ran for over a decade, that you created the feel, you created the environment, which Bill saw and then said, all right, we can turn this into a show,
Well, and I also, one of the things about the show in Bill is, we've been propositioned many times to pay for some
I've been propositioned many times
for teasers and what they call it, sizzles.
Sizzle reels.
And they were just basically, you give us $24,000 and we will make you famous.
Right.
And Robert, quickly saw the BS in that. And
good.
And, yeah, exactly. And then I called Bill up one day, or I think I sent you a text, Bill. And I said, why don't you do it? And I think this is a real quick, just back and forth, because we've been talking before. And he said, yes, that was what you said.
Well, yeah, but we're incredibly fortunate. My company has this sort of a relationship with a company called Trailblazer Studios in Raleigh. It's like a little gym. I had these guys once say, this is like LA without the attitude. Because we would shoot a bunch of studio things there over the years for Discovery Health. We were doing these CME shows. We were the first people to put Mehmet Oz on TV. I remember Mehmet came down to Trailblazers because we were doing these things. But anyway.
You talking about Dr. Oz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mehmet. Yeah, I turned to him at a party one day at David Zaslav's party. The band was Earth, Wind & Fire. And said, hey, Mehmet, I'm the first person to put you on TV. And he goes, yeah, you're right about that.
Did you get your royalty?
No, never. But anyway, but Jeff, the point of this story is Trailblazers and Jeff made all this happen and created the structure, because if you don't have structure, you got nothing. And they came up with, not only capturing the essence of the coolness of Black Dog, but also then, you got to come up with a formula of activities. So, meet you guys, you come in with some crazy thing like you normally do. Yeah. Then we set off on a project. You and Robert are trying to figure out the logistics, and then we have a bill. So in each little tidy, less than a half hour episode, there was a lot of content. Each episode, there was a build, there was a salvage, there were a couple of gags. You usually bled before the end of an episode, Mike. Rarely did you not bleed or put your son in harm's way.
Well, that was only Hollywood. I always say that was Hollywood blood. And for the record, to appease my wife and the insurance company, I did not put my son in harm's way. He was an adult and electively jumped up on that ladder by himself.
I agreed.
Yeah. But, really, Bill, I would say that, you mentioned Jeff, and for the people out there, that's Jeff Lanner, who at Trailblazer Studios. Exactly. But the combination of your vision at the front end and Jeff's manipulation and actually getting it to fit in a half an hour, and then the both of you capturing exactly what pretty much goes on around Black Dog Salvage, honestly, every day.
Yeah.
And it made it so much easier for us to actually do the show because we didn't have to act, and clearly we're not acting.
Clearly. And, can't even read a script.
It was pretty easy to be ourselves, and you guys put us in a position to be successful at it for 8 years and how many seasons? 11 seasons.
11 seasons, and we got 5 episodes to start. That's what the network gave you guys. And so Robert and I looked at the other and says, if nothing else happens, we've got 5 good commercials, or not so good commercials. But again,
exactly. No. You guys are the epitome of what the Figure 8 film brand over the years has been called authentic reality. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but the essence is you guys are authentic reality, with some, what does that mean? It just means you take some people doing things and you put some structure to it, and you got a storyline, and each half hour where you're going to go with the surprises in between, and it makes for great content. I mean, your stuff will stand, it'll be around for a long time, people watching it, because it was sincere, it was legit, the stuff you do was not fake, and I can attest as a consumer that stuff that people have bought it'll outlive me.
I was thinking the other day that we have 8 years, a body of work that is proud. We're proud to have done it. And it took a lot of effort and a lot of money, obviously, to do it. But anyway, that's I'm getting ready to cry here. I'm seeing jerking some tears here.
We got to document all that. I hope we get to do it again. But the truth is, you're still alive, A. B, Tay is well alive, but his own little thing over there, and so's your daughter with her glass. And it's just sort of like, I've been parts of companies that, people, as we, go off and do other things, I'm very proud to see all of us doing different things. That was part of the company before I started mine. And one guy went off and designed the toy of the year and sold it to Apple for $1 billion.
Well, listen, we're gonna cut to a break here in a second, Bill. So we got to kind of talking of structure, we have to kind of follow these formats here for a minute and see if we can be successful. So Tay's going to jump in. And I hate to cut you off, but we're going to pick you up back on the other side of it.
Your transitions are flawless.
Well,
hey, Bill, shut up. We got to take a break.
I've talked with Bill many times, and you really got to work to get in there, you know?
Can I tell you the transition I was going to use?
Yeah, I would love that.
Speaking of things that take a long time, we've got more to know.
That's not it.
That wasn't it.
Well, anyway, Bill, we all got more questions for you. So we got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Bill Hayes.
We got to haul stuff. Big Tex trailer's really been there for us.
That's right.
We've got two trailers. We got the dump trailer that
which is awesome.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you can haul a Bobcat with it.
You can do a whole lot of things
there. Yeah, probably things you shouldn't be doing with it, but that's part of the deal with these trailers. They got to be built tough because we're going to abuse them.
That's right.
You know, and I'm sure ours is almost new looking compared to some I've seen out there.
Oh my gosh,
you know?
And as a welder, I fix a lot of broken stuff, and I don't fix many big Texas. You know?
Well,
I fix those cheaper trailers for people, but
yeah,
you got to choose your trailer carefully, and Big Tex is what I would choose.
You know, they've come through for us. They were very good in providing these for us for the show, and we're still using them today. Good stuff. American made.
Big Tex. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Black Dog Salvage Podcast. Today, we are talking with a man who's responsible for more TV than anyone alive, Mr. Bill Hayes.
That's huge, man.
I don't think so. I think Lauren Michaels and the Simpsons creators might have an issue with that.
Okay, let's think of it as more as from the reality genre, the unscripted television, documentarian. I think you're in the running for somebody really important in the American television business.
I think you got awards for some of this stuff. Didn't you get some Emmys or some Tonys or some?
Yeah,
Freddy's,
some Jimmys.
Emmys, and by the way, you're associated with us, and the more I build you up, or we all build you up, the better we look, and that's what it's all about.
That's right. Yeah, we're standing on we're standing on your shoulders, Bill.
Well, for the folks out there in podcast world, Bill has been involved in a lot of different television shows, and I'll drop a couple names like 19 Kids and Counting, John and Kate Plus 8. Obviously, Salvage Dawgs, Bringing Up Bates.
Sister Wives.
Yeah, Sister Wives. But also a great series called The Operation, documentaries like The Godfather of Basketball, Morgan Wooten, Miracle Man, John of God. Lots of stuff. Lots of great stuff.
And the two gals. What's their name, Bill?
Abby and Britt.
The conjoined twins.
Conjoined twins. The Real Mayberry, which we'll touch on a little bit too. But Bill, going back to the beginning of, I guess, isn't it The Operation, the show called The Operation? Is that kind of at the front end of your notable career, or where does that fit in?
But yeah, it was The Operation. I was when I was a mere youth, like in my late 20s, I ended up getting a job for somebody in Durham called Bob Chapman Learning Resources Network, and I sold an interactive video to Glaxo Pharmaceuticals. Sold them this interactive video to teach their sales reps about hypertension in the cardiovascular system. And by default, I become the producer. And then I go up to the Bowman Gray School of Medicine. Anyway, he wants to do an interactive video, so I do one with him. And sort of out of the ashes of that project, we're out documenting these hotshot surgeons all over North America. And then one day I look up and I see this operation on the Learning Channel before it was TLC. And I call them up and say, hey, I can do that better than that. And they say, well, come on. This guy, Mike Quattrone's thinking about commissioning somebody. He says, go away. He says, you seem like you've done something pretty similar to what we're trying to do here. So I come back with a list of 25 surgeries. And they go, okay, let's do these first 8.
Just to tie up the operation, is that for everybody? What was the format of that show?
It was an hour-long documentary. We found the best surgeons in the world, and with really compelling cases. We knew that the story had to be about the patient, not really the doctor. The secret sauce, even with you guys, is extraordinary and relatable.
So, going from The Operation, and I know that you were doing a lot of other things at this point, but how do you go from, let's say, The Operation to John and Kate Plus 8? How does that? And
there's a woman named Eileen O'Neill. She ended up ultimately becoming the general manager of TLC and then Discovery. Eileen would say, well, I saw this article in the magazine about 14 kids. Why don't you go look into that, Bill? Or, boy, it'd be nice if we had a family of multiples to tell a story about. But it's a half step from medical documentaries to human interest stories. Most of our stories about these families are really about the human condition, about how do you do what? How do you, they're extraordinary because they got way too many youngins, and at the same time, they're relatable because they got the same problems we all have.
What are those problems? I'm kind of wondering. I just want to make sure I'm right there with the populace.
Pay the bills.
Pay the bills. That's right. First thing.
Pay your taxes. Pay your bills.
Yeah.
Try to feed yourself. Try to grow up in a crazy world. There's a lot. We all live here, right?
Yeah, we do.
So, the medical stories just morphed into stories about the human condition in large families. And they make for good storytelling because their lives are going on, and every day most of us, every day is some kind of mini drama, right? It's a matter of how do you capture it and have an arc in that overarching arc in the storyline of something.
You want to see a wreck now and again, though. That's one thing that America loves is a comedic tragedy.
That's why NASCAR is fun to watch.
That's right.
Well, if you can get people to be honest about their lives, who doesn't have a wreck about every other week in their life, right?
Yeah, that's
good point.
That's more like daily
truth. Yeah,
right.
It's a little too real, Bill.
Craziness is who's willing. I'm not willing to share all that. There's only a certain amount of people who are willing to share that kind of part of their life with us, and God bless them.
Yeah.
But you luckily for you, that wasn't part of your life. We were trying to get you to share. We were trying to get to share your creative genius and what you do at your shop.
The tragedy happens naturally.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And we had a few, there was some stuff going on between Robert and I, and, we'd kind of smirk and cuss at each other under our breath.
Every once in a while, somebody get possessed.
Yeah, I got possessed in one of our episodes, and Robert pushed the button of the ghost problem. And
try to keep that to a minimum.
Well, when we feature that episode on one of our podcasts, I'll go into that
haunting
possession.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well, Bill. Considering your esteemed body of work and all the incredible things you've produced over the years, I think I can speak for all of us here when I say that we feel lucky to have been a notch in your belt, so to speak.
Hey guys, the podcast is brought to you today by Mountain Khakis.
Yes.
They're some of the best people to work with, just friendly, but the pants, the shirts, the vests, everybody in my family has it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're part of my family.
I love my Mountain Khakis.
Yeah.
And I love being part of the family.
It's good. It's good to have you, my friend. When Tay came out, he was wearing a pair of Mountain Khakis, by the way. The kid was styling immediately.
Mountain Khakis. 3-week-olds. Love it. All right, everybody, welcome back again to the Black Dog Salvage Podcast. We're talking with, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Bill Hayes, this week. And Bill, what are you working on now, and why is it not a Salvage Dawgs reboot?
Well played, Tay.
Yeah.
Figure Eight Films is still producing several television series. We have 7 Little Johnsons. We got a big order for that recently, so that's a very successful series on TLC. And Sister Wives is doing great numbers as well for TLC.
One thing you started outside of Figure Eight, which is the Thunder Mountain Media, which you run.
I'm getting ready to tell you about that.
Yeah. Okay.
So here's the idea for Thunder Mountain Media. Here's my pitch, boys. We are trying to counter-program the sea of negativity in America with positive programming that actually makes sense and provides good role models and examples of things. So we have 2 projects. One's called NC365. It's 2 minutes of history every day in the history of North Carolina. The other thing that we're working on that we've already rolled some tape on is occupational documentaries. And the idea is that we want to tell short stories about people and their occupation. And we feel like that it's a pretty good time for that with COVID reset,
it's
right?
It's huge
and
right now.
So everybody's wondering what they could, should, would be.
Mike Rowe has helped us a little bit with his Dirty Job episodes, and he showed us the kind of the grit and
the glory
and trade value in America.
Ours is take up a broader but a tighter format. So little 4-minute segments with a little bit of inspiration and a little bit of insight.
Bill, I'm tired just hearing all the stuff you got going on. You're a busy man.
It's not even my number one job. My number one job these days, crazily, at 66, I have a 4.5-year-old dad. Are you an even or not? How old will you be when I'm 100, Dad? I said, I will be dead. I have a 4 and a 7-year-old and a 24-acre organic farm.
So what you're saying is you're not sitting back on your laurels, all your accomplishments, and you just keep chugging on with more and more. It's exhausting.
It is. I'm tired already.
I'm ready to retire.
No, it's good. It's good stuff.
They keep you young.
Those boys are going to add years to your life, not take it away. That's for sure. They're going to keep you off that
rock.
My
joints hurt, man.
They're going to keep you off that rocking chair on the porch.
But hey, Bill, there's a segment of our show we do where the guest brings a DIY top tip. Do you have one?
Do it yourself top tip.
Yeah, could be a physical thing.
Yeah, marry up.
Okay.
Marry up.
Okay.
Right there succinctly that's brilliant. I mean, we've gotten a lot of good top tips, but I believe that's the one that people ought to seize on. Marry up.
Well, if you marry up, then she's marrying down.
Well, don't talk about that.
Hey, this is his
all
top tip.
Perspective, Mike.
Okay.
No, that thing is actually flipped. She might consider she married up too.
She did marry up, Bill.
Right?
You're a catch at 65.
I think it's pretty clear that we could do this all day. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I think we're going to wrap this segment and move on to the...
Yeah, we got your DIY tip, which is, by the way, one of the most brilliant and succinct tips I've ever heard. And I think
I got better. I got a couple more tips for you, boys.
All right.
Let's lead into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Bill, you mentioned a quick DIY top tip earlier, which was marry up. That's fantastic advice, I think. But what else you got floating around in your brain for the people at home?
Get a hot tub because you're going to hurt yourself and you're going to need it.
Therapy. Yep, we got that.
Great.
That's
good.
That's a good one.
Right
marry up and get in the hot tub. Perfect.
Those two things go well together.
That's right.
Yeah.
I got tip number 3. When you're out there looking for mates, guys to hang out with, start asking them what they do because they're probably going to do something better. Point taken. Mike would always comes down to our beach place. And he'll, give him the friends and family rate. But inevitably, he always fixes something. One year, he takes a sailboat, puts the mast on it, then buys a sail and sails it. One year, you guys put a bimini on my boat for me. Another year, he helped me mount the large screen TV. Electrical problems, no problem. I would blow the place up. Mike fixed it. So I always find good friends.
Well, I had to pay for my...
That's my other DIY tip.
Well, that's good. That is absolutely good. Is always leave it better than you found it.
Right. Oh, that was my mom's creed. Leave a place better than you find it. My creed is leave people better than you find them.
That's good too. Words to Live by Bill Hayes.
Well, Bill, we want to have you back. Would you come back for another episode in the future? There's so much more that we haven't covered.
Yeah, no, my wife, we're trying to get up to Rona to see you guys, I promise. Well, we got to do that rap party too.
What? Hey, now we're talking.
Now we're going to Costa Rica for that, aren't we?
Yeah, we're gonna when we come back, we're gonna talk about an episode of Salvage Dawgs, and it just so happens that this episode, Return to Cap Center, features the one and only Bill Hayes. And Bill, if you still have time, you can stick around and we can talk about the project which you were featured in, as well as your family was made their debut on Salvage Dawgs.
We're going to go to a break real quick. When we come back, Salvage Dawgs behind the scenes with our guest, Bill Hayes.
Would you forgive me for just looking inward and talking about Black Dog Salvage? I know we don't talk about Black Dog Salvage that much.
I love those guys.
But when it comes to Black Dog Salvage, our favorite place is Stonehouse at Black Dog Salvage.
100%.
And it's one of our projects where you get to see everything that salvage can do, everything you can about preservation of old structures, everything about, just the coolest thing in residential design.
Now, Robert, this sounds like a place that
Do you think I'm ever selling this? I don't think I'm ever selling it.
People can go to this place?
You can actually rent this place.
Get out of here.
Yeah, by the day. I think there's a 2-day minimum.
Sure.
But you get the whole house. It's 3 bedrooms, all in-suite baths, custom, awesome kitchen.
Entertainment room.
Is there any
room.
breakfast?
If you make it.
I always like to eat.
Full kitchen. There's a full kitchen.
Yeah.
So no.
So it's not a bed and breakfast. It's just a bed and bagel or a bed and beer or
whatever
something.
you want.
It's a vacation rental that you can bring your whole family or your group of friends and have a big old time. I know that I've rented it myself for my daughter's birthdays. They've had a great time. I've rented it for just getaways with my wife. We've had a great time.
This was a great platform for us that we got to show how to use salvage. And that's what we do. You know, we always preach it, but sometimes showing it is another story. So that's another story. We'll talk again.
Check it out. You can take a virtual tour on our website and you'll see what we're talking about. Okay, so folks, we're back. And we're back to talk about an episode of Salvage Dawgs, one of our favorites. And in this case, it's episode 1012, I think, or 1013, one or the other.
They're all our favorites.
Well, you're so right,
you
Mike.
know, I mean,
why pick one? Well, because we have to pick one to talk about
and
today.
Some were definitely better
and
than
in
others.
this case, it's Return to Cap Center, which is a pretty big project. A lot of things going on in this one, including we take apart a bank. We take apart a spa.
It's a bank heist.
We take apart a Kobe, like a Japanese
Great,
restaurant, a greasy Japanese spoon, and a lot of outdoor, indoor stuff. Yeah. And we also build very, very heavy cabana.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a word that I came up with, and everybody basically said that's not a cabana.
Doesn't matter. It's already called a cabana.
I built it. I can call it anything I want.
There you go. Yeah. But we started, right? Grayson and I went to the Japanese restaurant to tear off some not very old stuff. She did lighting. I did, tried my best not to break all the little woodwork and the room dividers.
She smoked you on the lighting, though. She's as Ted puts it, the lighting expert. Yeah, she's the queen of lighting.
One of the great things about when you're working in the salvage business and you're actually doing a television show at the same time, you get to have a little bit more structured fun. And one of those things is maybe having a competition, working on things like you got a bunch of these, who's going to win that? And it makes for better television, I think, but it also made for an easier work day and something to make interesting.
Well, this gives us a little bit more fodder to mess with each other too, you know?
Well, that's the salvage, the Black Dog formula is work hard, but play hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of grease in that one, and everything's coated with it, and that made it a little bit difficult and a little bit less valuable. I don't think it's not smell-o-vision, touch-o-vision. You just don't have that. It doesn't exist.
Now that we're looking back on that, and it was greasy, every piece of that sold, by the way.
Yeah,
yeah, and so that's kind of the proof in the pudding that.
Grease it up.
Even greasy stuff will sell.
Should we add grease?
No.
A mister? No. Grease misting?
Yeah, maybe so.
Like a donut place where they pass under a waterfall of grease.
It smells like French fries coming in.
We also took apart a bank, and which surprised me.
You guys were doing a bank job.
We did a bank job. And there wasn't a whole lot there in my mind that we were going to get. It turns into just a veritable cornucopia of cherry wood, dimensional wood that we got salvaged, plus about 10,000 pounds of steel that was behind the teller desk.
We've used a lot of that steel in projects already because it just sits down in the shop.
Quarter-inch AR-500.
This was bulletproof. It was to bulletproof the teller windows, and so it had to be behind the wood. It was just a monster amount of steel, and so like I said, we used that up. But also the plexiglass was bulletproof,
like 1.5 inches thick.
I mean, a lot of it, and you know what? We sold some of that, but we also donated a large portion of it to one of our favorite organizations, nonprofits here in town called Family Service, and they're using it in their offices. So they
have bulletproof needs at Family Service. Matter of fact, they do.
Unfortunately, they do. Yes, Mike, they do.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
anytime you put family in a word, you have a little bit of conflict.
You got to have some place to hide behind.
Didn't want to bring that up, but yes, to be succinct, we did. It went to good use. Let's put it that way.
There you
go.
So
you guys run and then at some point, Ted was maybe voluntold to go.
Well,
salvage the spa.
The real situation when Ted was by himself is you and Grayson were leaving.
Yes.
And you left, right?
Where were you guys going?
Somewhere else, man.
Any place but here. They were going home.
Yeah. I had something in real life I had to get back for, but we already had some full trucks, so we figured we'd just take them. And
then Robert and I went into D.C. to get a stamp appraised.
That was the ticket out.
So that's kind of behind the scenes stuff you didn't know.
Very, very disappointing that was for another episode.
Yeah. We were all wondering if we'd ever see you again.
It was a penny stamp. And it wasn't worth a penny. It was devastating.
Deflation,
and
not inflation.
The guy that was on the appraiser, he had absolutely no sense of humor either. It's like, get out of my shop. I need to make some money here.
Jesus.
So the bottom line is that the reality was that Ted was going to be left by himself, and it really led. I mean, Ted is a truly a funny guy and entertaining. But this truly was his best work. I mean, and whether it was intentional or not, but the whole thing put together, as well as what Trailblazer did with just, the way they're edited and the whole thing.
Driving that scissor lift
he couldn't figure
from
out
the ground. He couldn't figure out left or right. I mean, it's hilarious.
And just the way, he's talking to himself. I mean, it's pretty hard to do one of those things by yourself.
Yeah.
When
some would say impossible.
Well, the work is hard to do by itself, but it's also to, obviously he's not by himself. There's cameras all over the place, but just to make it funny when you have no one to talk to except for yourself. And he did a fantastic job of it. And
well, Ted likes himself, so he's a fan.
Yeah, it was good. It was good TV, I thought.
Yeah, and one of the things, you saw it come down the show and didn't hit the ground. A lot of the balls were hitting the ground.
Oh, the glass from the chandelier. Yeah,
we put that thing behind a wall once we left and left it there. we didn't even put enough value onto it to bring it home.
Which brings to mind the bleeder of the week.
The bleeder of the week. Even though one thing we haven't mentioned was, Dad, you spent a lot of time circling the block, taking lighting off the outside of the building.
Right.
But I think you did that fairly successfully without bleeding.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, but that's, I think the identification of the bleeder of the week, it just comes right to the top. And it's that chandelier that Ted attempted to take down by himself. I think we came in and tried to assist at the end, and but it was a total loss.
A total loss. And that happens when you're salvaging. You're going to have to break a few eggs to make an omelet. So
I think there was approximately 500 glass balls on this, and 475 of them hit the ground. So we got a 475 out of 500.
Okay, so this is a sliding scale.
Yeah.
But one of the things on the show too, which we always do, is the build. And the build with this is kind of fun. The build was for Bill, and this piece was a apple crate from the Murray Vinegar Cider Company
right here in
town.
And
when you say crate, this is not like a hand crate. This
is production people know, the apple box. It's not that.
It's huge.
It weighed over 600 pounds when we started.
It's like 4 feet by 8 feet, maybe.
It was 8 by 4. Yeah,
like inch thick oak boards that made this thing up.
Right, and
perfect for Black Dog Salvage.
It was a great build, and the whole point. But
so the concept was turn this into a bench, an outdoor bench.
Right.
Right.
Well, I didn't call it a bench because I put an awning over it and I called it a cabana. That was when I called Bill up, and Bill, I hope will remember this because I'm getting old too. Is Bill, I'm gonna build you a cabana. Well, what do I need a cabana for? I wanted to put it over at his pool, but he had a better idea for the sunset. And Bill, I think it was a success. What do you think?
No. Okay, so here's the cabana story. Yeah,
see, I knew you would remember.
I'm just waiting my turn here, boys. Of course I remember. I wanted a bench. I got a cabana, and you kept wanting to put it over on my swimming pool where it's very rustic looking with the apple crates. And my swimming pool area is a little bit more of not quite so rustic like this. There's some, Anyway, I had somebody build a corner structure for me that's cantilevered and covers a very fancy couch these days. And I needed this space. I needed a bigger space for the youngins to destroy and grandma to go sit in and blah, blah, blah. But this other spot, which is the prettiest spot on our property where you look west for sunset, you can see several miles. And I thought, that's the place to celebrate life, is putting this thing out there. And then, so a quick segue to what else is out there, which is your fire pit. And when I was asking the family this morning in the hot tub, what were their favorite Black Dog things, Diane's quick to go the fire pit, because we use them all over the place. We've got one right here next to the office. We have one next to the pond. We go on over there.
Have you gotten any Black Dog frequent flyer miles? Because
tell me about it.
Your whole compound is a Black Dog fabrication.
It's a tribute. Yeah, you should shoot
paradise.
An episode.
So it sounds like to me that we kind of force fed you a rustic cabana bench.
You did. He did. But,
was this commissioned by you, or was this just a way that we could get Bill Hayes and his family on Salvage Dawgs? Is this what is going on here?
That, Robert. Robert, you'll like this part. It's like, Mike, how much is it going to cost me? Well, we'll get to that later. I don't know. How
Look
much
out.
I never quite got the bill till after. He's a smart guy, Mike.
Billy,
well,
you're my go-to guy. When nobody else will buy it, Bill will buy it.
Thank you, Mike. I'll remember that.
But I give you bill prices, not reality, not the reality of retail, because you said yes.
Yeah, but all well that ends well, because the answer to your question is it turned out incredible. It's such a you were smart enough to put these cotter pins in there so I could take the top off when the wind blows too hard, because it has flipped over once or twice.
Would you say that one more time? I'm what? Smart enough?
The cotter pins that you put in the...
you said I was smart. That's I was just going back there.
He needs this, Bill. Give it to him. He needs it bad.
It must have been a Tay idea, but anyway.
It killed me.
So that was that's the episode basically of Return to Cap Center.
And the Cap Center was the Capitol Center, where the first Capitol Center was.
Right.
Everybody says Cap Center, and they think
but it's all gone now. So let's go back to Thunder Mountain, which, by the way, folks out there, this is Thunder Mountain that you've heard that name repeatedly is Bill Hayes' estate. Isn't that right, Bill?
Well, we call it a compound, and it's really what we've tried to do is morph it from not being an estate to being a functional farm. So we'll give it a day at compound, but because what we're trying to do with the 24 acres is really. I want my two boys to grow up. They will be seventh generation farmers. If I determine one of them, Gabe says he's not going to be a farmer, although he'll be a biologist. But currently, my wife says you're not a farmer, you're a TV producer, but I'm a sixth generation farmer now. I'm farming again.
There you go.
Farming is not for the meek or weak either. Let me tell you, boys. It's nothing simple or easy about that.
No way.
But I'm glad to get my boy. I want my boys to grow up outdoors, understanding where food come from and how to grow it, and being responsible to nature, and that's terribly important to me. And working.
Well, Bill, you're changing the world, man.
I don't know about that.
One compound at a time.
Yeah, well, two boys at a time. That's what kids are for.
That's right. You pass that on to the next generation. That's the only way change is made, is through generational transfer of knowledge and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, look at mine. I say, look at mine. I got Tay over here. He's got a lot of his mom in him, but he's got a little imprint. So you're doing your part.
They're better versions of us. I've met Robert's daughters. They're better versions of us, right?
No doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for gracing our podcast with your presence.
Lord.
Anything you want to leave us with?
Yeah, get your butts down here and stay at my guest house. What are you waiting for?
Yes,
we're just waiting for the next purchase, Bill. That's what that's how I use. That's how I get away.
I'm only a friend if I buy stuff from you.
Fair weather friend.
You should just put me on a stipend. Just every month put a little into the pot, and I'll build whatever you want. But Bill, this is truly a blessing for me, because you and I have known each other for a long time, and you changed our life with Salvage Dawgs, and we're all very, very thankful for that. I mean, I'm tearing up just talking about it, because you are a special person, and I want you to know that.
Call my wife and tell her, will you?
She knows. she knows. Her and I, we have a connection.
Yeah. We miss you, Bill.
There you go. Well, then tell my boys. I can't get much with them. I don't get a lot of traction.
Well,
either.
Uncle Mike will be around about as long as Dad is.
Yeah.
So.
Well, tell him to listen to the Black Dog Salvage podcast. It's all there. Well, Bill, take care of yourself.
Thank you so much.
Well, listeners, it's time for us to pay the bill. Stick around, and we'll be right back. Milwaukee Tools, fellas. Milwaukee Tools.
Yeah. What are you going to say about it?
Well, they've been around forever, first off. But also, I think
forever's a long time.
That is a long time.
Within our collection of tools, this was a good thought.
It still
wasn't perfectly formed, but I think
if you had your choices, that's what I'm getting at. You would pick. Everybody would fight over the Milwaukee as opposed to another brand.
It happened all the time. Yeah, because we had a lot of Milwaukee, and they supported us for a little while on the show. And if they were all picked out of the truck, and I got there late, and there were no Milwaukees, I was a sad worker.
Salvage day was not complete.
I was a sad worker because
right.
everything else would die too fast. It felt like a toy. Milwaukee's just like, yes, I'm going to do some work today, despite the feeling of not wanting to do work, Milwaukee was in my hands. So
it made you want to work.
That's right.
How about that?
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. Milwaukee Tools.
Get you some. Well, thank you, everyone out there listening, for tuning in. To find out more about all the stories you've heard, connect with us on the website, blackdogsalvage.com.
You know, you can also sign up to our newsletter. You know, you can also sign up for our newsletter.
Say it one more time.
So there again, you can always get on our newsletter. You know?
I don't know what he said there.
Hey, guys, you can always get, hey, everybody, you can always get on the newsletter and find out what's going on with us for our guests, the show, and everything else.
Yeah, something like that. But if you like what you heard, please always share, like, and rate our show wherever you get your podcast. As those shares and likes really make a difference. They really do.
Tell the people.
Yeah, share up. I'd like to I'd like to thank our producers. Have we ever done that?
Let's thank our producers.
You know, I'd like to the people who make this happen. There's 4 people I want to really mention. Bob Nastasi, we knew Bob because of he was our producer at Salvage Dawgs. Jason Ellis.
Elias.
Okay.
I'll get it. We've got to get that. Yeah.
Elias?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Also, our California contingent. And also, Will Solari. He's our audio guy that has really fared fairly well through this whole debacle. We've
weathered the storm.
We have finally gotten it down right. And Krista Stevens, who does our research for us and provides us with a lot of stuff that keeps us sounding almost relevant.
All right, there you go.
Almost professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.
Adios.